Hello everybody and welcome to another showdown. We are going to be playing my dear friend over here for X and Dreadnought, but we're going to be taking a little bit of a new take on this. This is obviously a deck list inspired by Aaron Dix, and I made some changes considering the way that I like to build Dreadnought decks. So this is blue-black Dreadnought. The main changes here that we're gonna, instead of having access to Meddling Mage and Swords to Plowshares, instead we're gonna have access to Duresses and PsychaNought as an alternative way to end the game. So it's actually very interesting, and I think it's potentially extremely powerful as well. So interesting to see how this deck actually plays out. The main change that I made from Aaron's list is that I added Portent. I think Portent is just way too important in Dreadnought style decks. So just having access to the 1-mana cantrip, it's a massive deal. It just smooths out your draws, and it's just spectacular. Instead of Portent, Aaron was playing like a split of Lindul's Volts and Impulse, and he was also playing a 20th land because he doesn't have the cantrip to set up his draws, so he's much more interested in hitting land drops naturally. So I cut a land from his deck and then cut the clunkier style cantrips and just played Portent instead. Also, I'm not the huge fan of Lindul's Vault. This card is, I don't know, like the fact that this is card disadvantage, it's not super exciting to me. You can do some cool stuff like, end step, Lindul's Vault, and then set up to draw a gush plus something else, but then you're requiring your gush to actually be accompanied of 2 great cards for you to really get good value of this. And this is like a very much late game sort of play. Like, this is not something that I want to be doing on turn 2 or 3. So having multiple copies of Lindul's Vault doesn't really make that much sense to me. I think as a one-off it is much more enticing. So so then we were pairing Dreadnought with probably the scariest card to pair Dreadnought with, which is Duress. Duress, just take a look at your opponent's hand and then take their answer is insanely good. So playing 4 copies of Duress, and the rest is basically the Dreadnought shell that I've been playing in blue-white. So instead of having 4 Meddling Mages and then 2 Opts, a Swords to Plowshares, and a Flex Slot, which I'm currently playing, and an All-In, I'm playing 4 Duresses. So that's a big changes. In the sideboard, we have access to one of the best sideboard cards in the format in Engineered Plague, so that's pretty nice. And then a couple of copies of Smother, which is the answer of choice to opposing Dreadnoughts or even opposing Meddling Mages and stuff like that. So that is the sideboard. Because we don't have access to Disenchant, we're playing 4 copies of Annul. I also have 3 Hydroblast effects, and then because we don't have access to the banger that is Armageddon, I'm playing Brain Freeze, which is a game plan that I'm not actually super stoked on. I think it's fine, but I'm not super in love with it. But yeah, we'll have a couple of copies of that. The last cyber card that I'm playing is Flash of Insight. I am very aware that there's a little of, let's call it tension between PsychaNought and Flash of Insight, because obviously you want to have the cards in your graveyard to be exiled with Flash of Insight, but you also want to use them for PsychaNought. But I have had such fantastic experiences with Flash of Insight in blue-white that I wanted to give it a shot. Granted, and one big difference is that one of the main reasons why Flash of Insight is so strong in the Dreadnought deck, in the blue-white Dreadnought deck, is because of Armageddon. The fact that Flash of Insight does a great job at finding your 1 or 2 of Armageddon is a big reason why this is so strong. And here we don't actually have access to such a powerful card. So maybe Flash of Insight is just a bad card. But nevertheless, I wanted to give it a shot and see what's up. I still wanted a card for matchups like The Rock or control decks and stuff like that. So we're going to try this in the showdown then. Hope that it works out just as well as I expect it to, or as I hope it will. If you are interested in joining and checking out the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you for round number 1. Round number 1. This is an awkward hand, huh? I'm gonna keep it probably, but yeah, this is very awkward. We'd love to find a second island, I guess. We're gonna hope for this PsychaNought to do some serious work. Okay, so I'm gonna lead on Underground River, awkwardly enough, but I don't know if I'm gonna need to foil something here. Caves of Coilas. Okay, so if I play the island, that means that I get to gush a turn sooner. I think I'm just gonna go with a second Underground River, actually. If my opponent has Wasteland or something like that, then we can use that to my advantage. Oh, we're playing against PDGA. Okay, that's cool. So I guess if my opponent has Vindicate, I just let it resolve. Opponent continues to do nothing. This is not looking great. At this point, I'm going to play the island because I can just cast Counterspell, and next turn I'm going to be able to hardcast Foil. So this seems fine. Dust Bowl. Kind of a problem. That is most certainly a problem. Island, please. Our opponent's playing around Stifle. Immediately draw a Stifle. That's really funny, actually. I don't think I played a PsychaNought there, not until I have a way to like bounce back my guy. So I probably have to stifle this activation though. So let's stifle there. Brutal. This is devastating. I'm dying inside. If I find an island though, I'm gonna be in pretty good shape. Vindicate sucks. That's an interesting choice there. I guess my opponent's playing around these. Portent myself. Okay, so we already have gushes, so I'm just gonna go keep. I'm gonna go gush, impulse, land, no shuffle. Draw the land. So I guess next turn I'm just dropping a PsychaNought. Oh, my opponent did nothing. Okay, yeah, I think I'm just gonna drop a PsychaNought here. And this is just so I don't have to go to this card. If my opponent destroys this, if they Source of Plowshares this PsychaNought, I just don't do anything. But I don't think I want to gush in this scenario. Cycle Decree. That's acceptable. It's a bunch of chump blockers though, which is a little bit awkward. Reflecting Pool. Now the Source of Plowshares. I could gush here, but I don't think I do. I think I just let it go. I could have exiled some cards to gain some life. JR's Verdict. So I think I want to bin a counter spell and the impulse here. I definitely want to save the foil. My opponent is down to 2 cards in hand. This turn I'm going to be gushing, and if we find a shrimp, we're going to be in pretty good shape. Otherwise, we can just be very sad here. It's okay. It's okay. So ship the turn back. I think we're going to discard one of these foils, because Vision Charm does the same, but it's not a 2-for-1. Opponent returns Dragon. Okay, so that tells me they don't have that much action. We're going to need to find a little shrimp sooner rather than later. Maybe being the impulse was just wrong. Should have been the redundant gush. Oh, there we go. I'm a genius. Play a shrimp. Vision Charm. Great. Ship the turn back. We know opponent's got dragon in hand. That is fine. They don't bring back the dragon. Interesting. JR's Verdict. So I think here I being the foil and the stifle. This allows me to hold up counterspell for a potential answer, and then Vision Charm as another way to protect the Dreadnought. And we still have gush to refuel. That second verdict is kind of a big deal though. 2 mana to disenchant. We're going to... I guess it's better for me to Vision Charm. It's better for me to Vision Charm because it allows me to draw another land of the gush. It is a time walk, but okay, perfect. So now we should be in good shape. Now we have Counterspell for whatever other answer my opponent may have, which they don't have another one, otherwise they would have cast it right there. At least they don't have an instant speed answer, that is. If they're spending this turn bringing back Eternal Dragon, that's very good for me. So their hand is Eternal Dragon plus Unknown, and I have Gush Counterspell. I think I'm in okay shape here. Limdul's Vault. So that means that I can effectively tutor into foil. So I think I should be in the clear. And even if my opponent plays a dragon just to chump block, oh, they cycle, okay. Even if they play a dragon to chump block, we still don't get raised by the only 2 soldier tokens, so we should be in good shape here. Get a Plains, Wrath of God, counterspell that, Cycle Decree, opponent's looking for an answer, don't pay for tokens, because they want to draw Vindicate, makes sense. Limdul's Vault actually very sexy here, because even if they find Vindicate, we just get to daze it. Black Colorless, oh, they found Skeletal Scrying. 1 turn too late. If the Skeletal Scrying had happened a turn before, that would have been pretty good for them. Opponent swings, that is fine, and we untap, play Island, swing for 12. Got there game 1, okay. Game number 2. I definitely want Flash of Insight. Is this a Brain Freeze matchup? Actually, it may be. I really don't like Daze, so I think we're potentially looking at a Brain Freeze matchup over a second PsychaNought. Actually, I guess there's more answers to Dreadnought, so I'm just gonna go 3 Dreadnought, 2 Brain Freeze, and the 3 PsychaNoughts. And Unity Play is interesting for dealing with tokens. I definitely don't want Smother, and I don't think a null Blue Elemental Blast, Hydro Blast really do anything, so I think I want to go with this. Maybe this is actually not a Brain Freeze matchup, and this should just be a Dreadnought matchup. Yeah, I think that's just the case, actually. Let's just go with this. Yeah, I don't think this is a Brain Freeze matchup. With my opponent having so many like verdicts and duresses, I don't think that I'm interested in... Like, I don't think I'm ever going to have enough... Unless I draw both Brain Freezes, I don't think I'm going to have enough to deck them And if you don't have enough to deck them, then Brain Freeze is just a dead card. So I think I keep this. Duress is kind of a beating, but they're probably going to take the counter spell. It kind of sucks though that I have... Oh, Limnul's Vault. It kind of sucks that I have Daces in my deck now. Not super stoked about that. Also, I don't love drawing the second foil. Maybe foil should be one of the cards to go, actually. Duress. So there goes the counter spell. And let's see if we can draw Gush or something. Drawing an island is not great. Morph. Yeah, we probably have to counter this, actually. Like, we have nothing going on, and we have no answers to a Resolved Angel, so that thing is going to erase me very quickly. So, until I find Gush, we're not gonna be in good shape here. At least my opponent also doesn't have too much going on. Oh, they're gonna Skeletal Shrine here? Into Daze? Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to do it like that. I guess they only have one unknown, so I guess it's fine. Yeah, this probably makes sense. Yeah, that's probably worth it, now that I think about it. They actually have complete information, so kind of like these. This may just be good enough. So I think I'm gonna go Portent, Vision Charm, Land, no shuffle. Maybe it's wrong, maybe I should be specifically looking for Gush. We do have a second Portent though, which can help me get there. Gerard's Verdict is devastating, so I think I'm going to go for that. And now I very much regret having Vindicate my land. So now the Vision Charm on top of my deck is just terrible. Alright, ship the turn back. Man, Skeletal Shrine is such a banger of a card. I love that card now. Yep. Getting kind of destroyed here. Portent, target me. Okay, so I'm gonna go top, 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 no shuffle. This is only because I get to protect my Daze, and then I get to cantrip again next turn. Still on the lookout for a Gush though. Why don't just Ghost Land pass? That is good for me. So, Portent. We're definitely shuffling those. Any order? Yes, shuffle. And we find a Delta, okay. We kind of have to hope that my opponent's got nothing going on. Vindicate my land. I can't afford to have that happen, so I'm just gonna save the land. Opponent pays for Daze. Nice. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay, another land. Not exactly what we're looking for, but oof. Vision Charm and Delta. Opponent gains 3, so lucky. Can I find maybe a counter spell? Another land, not great. Gush it just continues to be the best I can find here. Alright, maybe my opponent's last card is not an answer to the Psychic Dog. I'm still gonna jam, like I don't think it's really getting any better. So I'm still gonna play this Psychic Dog here. It's very likely my opponent's last card is an answer. But if it is an answer, then we like continue playing at least. And if it's not an answer, then we get to start to deal them some demashes. Counterspell. No. Okay, so play my land. So Vision Charm is plus 2.5 power. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is plus 9 total power. I think I do this. So we're gonna exile. And we wanna prioritize exiling the non-blue cards because we actually have, what's the name of the card? Flash of Insight in the deck. Also, we want to prioritize exiling the cards that we care the most about. So, because my opponent may have access to Haunting Echoes, so I don't want them to get rid of my foils, I guess. And I don't want them to get rid of my counter spell and my Vision Charms. So let's go with this. That's 6 power. 6 damages to get started. We've been getting really lucky that my opponent has not found one of their massive things. So mill 4. In response to the Duress. No luck. We did not mill Flash of Insight. That would have been so hot. That would have been so incredible if we had milled that Flash of Insight. So this is... I mean, they didn't have the answer last turn, and this was what they drew. So I have to assume my opponent does not have an answer. So I think I just YOLO here, including beaning this island. It also makes my opponent's Skeletal Shrines worse. I do need to make sure that this has enough... He has 5 power, so... We're going to discard a card to pump, then pump here, 3, we can make it 5 more. And the problem is if I YOLO and my opponent top decks an angel, then I lose. So I think I want to pump just once more. So let's go for 4 here. Found the Source of Plowshares. So we play on. Dreadnought. Dreadnought is of course the top deck. That's hilarious. Dust Bowl. Okay, that one doesn't actually do much. Counterspell. Okay. That's a real card. Can we find the Gush? Alright, can we find the Gush? We really want to dodge Decree, by the way. Yeah, we're doing that now. Here's a Dreadnought. Here's a Vision Charm. It actually could be that my opponent's last card is a Dissonance. It is very much, yeah, that I think... Oh, Source of Plowshares. Here we go. So, they need to find exactly an instant speed removal spell off the top. Man, that foil on the turn 3 Exalted Angel turned out being extremely relevant. See if we dodged. There's not. Oh, okay, there we go. So I think we just serve here. 12. Boom. Wow. Well, we got extremely lucky. We got extremely lucky this game. My opponent flooded pretty hard. They also couldn't really catch a break there with their draw steps. There were like a couple of spells that they didn't quite maximize on. So like the duress was like a little bit weird there. Like if it were me, I would have probably just held on to that duress until I'm trying to resolve something. Like for example, if that duress, instead of whiffing, it would have maybe answered some other spell from my hand, like a counter spell or whatever, that my opponent would have been able to like get out of that pickle. Or, you know, the same thing, it's true for the Vindicate that I dazed for no value. So if they had held on to that Vindicate, then maybe, you know, we would have played a little bit more of a game. I think my opponent tried to play their spells a little bit too frantically there. But yeah, they definitely got pretty unlucky. Anyway, let's go to round number 2. All right, round number 2. This hand is heinous. Can work with this one. I think I'm keeping. Oh man, what to bottom? So I'm definitely keeping, but so the Daze wants me to like play islands and stuff, and then I really want to keep the Black Swords for the rest. Am I gonna be greedy and just? I think I'm just gonna be greedy and just bottom an island. Maybe that's wrong with the Gush already in hand, but I could have also just bottomed the Dreadnought, but then I'm looking for something very specific, so it's really awkward. Yeah, we're gonna have to Daze this, because this is gonna deal way too much damage otherwise. Hey, look at that. So what can my opponent play on turn 2 that I want to duress? I don't think anything, so I'm just going to play an island this turn. This gives me the option of next turn playing a second island for Gush. Definitely not stifling a fetch land here, even if I had it. Yeah, these are all cards that I cannot duress anyway, so okay, that's a draw. Cool, so we're gonna duress here. I think we deal with the Fire Blast, and then we leave Incinerate ×2 and Shock. Being able to drop a Psychic Dog next turn is kind of a really big deal. My opponent's going to be able to use Fanatic to chump, but like we're probably not going to be attacking for a while with the Psychic Dog. Alright, swings for 2. Another Gush. Not spectacular, but... So now we will hopefully not need to take any more damage from our lands. Imagine we're going to see Incinerate here to the Tog. Interesting. Okay, so I guess I'm gushing. Okay, that's pretty good. Definitely want to keep this, so I'm going to exile 2 cards. And this, I mean, this Incinerate going at the Tog is kind of really good for me, actually. I think I'm going to just discard the rest. So he can just sack Mog Fanatic here, but then I can just exile both lands, so it's kind of the same thing. Okay, so he activates Grim. I'm going to give +2/+2. This is really, really good for me. So he's using all of these resources to get rid of the Psychic Dog when I already have Dreadnought rolled up and ready to go. So I can discard Island, discard Gush, and then, but I think I'm just gonna let this go. I think I'm just gonna let the Psychic Dog go here. I'm surprised he didn't Shock there instead of Lightning Bolt, considering he already had the Mog Fanatic. Yeah, so play Island, play Dreadnought, Stifle, your go. So he has the fetch land. So this is gonna be Incinerate is 3 damage, +2 from the Lavamancer. I really need to find a counterspell here. Otherwise, my opponent could be able to race me with a lucky top deck, because they're gonna attack me. So I have to attack here. So my opponent takes it. I take 2 from Lavamancer, down to 13. Then 3 from the Incinerate. 3 from the Incinerate here. 2 from the Lavamancer activation. That's down to 10. Then untap another Lavamancer activation plus the attack. That's 7. Plus 3 from the Incinerate. Plus, oh, I guess maybe he just doesn't have it. Maybe he just doesn't have enough. Yeah, I think he just doesn't have enough. He needs to find exactly Fire Blast, and then I need to find the counterspell of the Gush. He can attack, just simply attack with the Lavamancer. So this is down to 9, 8. Okay, he's gonna do it on upkeep. Good timing. Shock Face, that's fine. So I'm at 6 right now with the Mog Fanatic. Ooh, he drew exactly Fire Blast. That's amazing. That's exactly what he needed. All right, so I need to find foil or counterspell. Okay. Impulse. He should activate. Yeah, he had very well played by Pablo. So, because now I cannot draw Stifle. Yeah, okay, I'm dead. Wow, that was, he needed to draw exactly Fire Blast. That was the only card that helps him get there. All right, He got there. That's sick. That's sick. Yeah, so we just flooded a little bit here. Next game. Let's bring in the Hydroblast. Don't know if I want Smothers. That's interesting. I don't think I want Limdul's Vault. I don't think we're gonna have enough time to set that up. Duresses are fine. Psychic Dog is good as well. He's gonna have a bunch of Pyroblasts though, so maybe I'm not super into Psychic Dog. I'm gonna have Duresses though, so maybe it's fine. Going to be on the play. What to do, what to do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut a Psychic Dog actually, which is a weird thing to do, but I think that my Dreadnought plan is so much better than my Psychic Dog plan. I definitely want the Duresses, and maybe I still want a couple of Togs, maybe cut a counter spell, which may be a little bit too slow. Definitely want to be on the play. Not a great draw here. Mulligan into a fine hand. Keep this. I think I want to bottom the second days, because like that's 2 time walks, right? Probably can't afford to do that. He also moves to 6. We are on even footing. Jackal Pup. So I think I'm just gonna Hydroblast here. Would love to find a land. I think I would Daze fetch land here. Grim Lavamancer, that's fine. Fairness. I think I just cast a Daze on that. The Honest Daze. Can we see a land? Redundant Psychic Dog. Not as good. Redundant Psychic Dog is not as good. Barbarian Ring. 3 mana for Bowl Lining. Wow, yeah. That's a lot of damage. Oh, it's very unlucky. That's very, very unlucky. Especially because Bowl Lining is a terrible card in this matchup. Okay. So, I think we keep this. We go top, 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 no shuffle. We have to hope the opponent doesn't have another Bowl Lining. Attacks for 1. Okay, down to 11. And we're gonna take 1 to cast this Psychic Dog. Unfortunately, Curse Scroll, yeah. So that's gonna be in play for the remainder of the game. There's nothing I can do about that. So here we go. Here's a Psychic Dog. If he has a Pyroblast, I may need to just foil that, because I don't know if I can take a turn off and take damage from the pup. Bloodstained Mire has been played. We do get to untap here, which is nice. I could play a second Psychic Dog here. I think I do. Swing. Because I'm taking 2 from the Lava Man plus 2 from the Curse Scroll. I guess I can stifle the fetch to lock my opponent's mana. Yeah, I think I do that. So float 2, Gush, opponent fetches, I stifle. It's actually a very important source of mana that my opponent would have had access to there, so I think it's important to do that. So now I'm at 9. My opponent can only activate Curse Scroll or Lavamancer, but not both. So I'm at 7. As long as they don't reveal Fire Blast here. Okay, that's a mountain. So now they're gonna be able to do both. And I swing with both Psychic Dogs here. Opponent plays the land. If I swing with both Togs, I can deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't think I have lethal. Unless I find Gush. Okay, Vision Charm actually gives me more mana. Oh my god, this is close. I Vision Charm, mill myself for 4. This is 2.5 damage. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can deal 13. I guess I can also Impulse, looking for a Gush. Let's do that. I don't think I can afford to cast this Duress because it costs me a life. Huh, Stifle is interesting. Does that change the math? If I take Stifle here, I can Stifle the Lavamancer trigger or the Curse Scroll. I have Foil to counter something. Should technically survive. It also, my opponent takes a damage from Barbarian Ring, so I guess I'm technically fine with this. And we're going to attack only with 1 Tog. So Psychic Dog gets in there. Jackal Pup is not a blocker because it will, my opponent still gets dealt the damage. So there's no need to pump here. Oh, he just chomps. Activate Grim. Sure. Down to 5. And Grim dies. Pass the turn. Activate Curse Scroll. Let that go. Reveals Incinerate. Man, this game is so tight. Incinerate. We foil, pitching Island and Duress. So we die to Fire Blast once again. Hydroblast is nice. So swing both. Discard. Stifle. Pitch, Vision Charm. Do we have enough? Because like discarding that foil actually cost a lot for us there. I don't think I have enough. I actually don't think I have enough. So I think I have to attack again with Psychic Dog. Guess I'm gonna do some pumping here. I guess there's no reason to pump, because I can just pump in a single attack. And this game is so insanely close. It's a weird attack. Okay, I'll block. Exile 2 cards to pump. Okay, so now he's gonna sack Barbarian Ring to attempt to kill the Psychic Dog? Very weird. Super weird. Alright, so he fetches, and I think he's just going to activate both Curse Scroll and Barbarian Ring here. We're gonna take the damage from this scroll, revealing Shock. Oh wow, he goes for the Shock. Okay. Gush is a good draw, so that is very lethal now. That is very, very lethal. Yeah, those are whatever. Guess we just Vision Charm ourselves. I guess I shouldn't have. I actually should not have that. That's gotta pump some Togs here, and we should be good to go. +5. Do some extra pumping for good measure. Alright, that was close. It was a very, very close game. On to game number 3 now. We're gonna be on the draw. Do we want to cut down on Daces? I'm honestly starting to wonder whether Duress is good at all. Like, it's always going to cost me life, because I'm either using Underground River, or I'm fetching for a Swamp. And if I fetch for a Swamp, then that delays everything. Maybe Counterspell is better? Nah, this is fine. I think Duress being more mana efficient is kind of a really big deal. This is the kind of matchup where the white splash, or just having no splash at all, just being playing mono blue, is so much better. Like, it's such a massive upside, because the white gives me Swords to Plowshares, and you very often end up Swords to Plowsharing your own Dreadnought. That's something that happens on the regular. This hand is really, really mana heavy. I guess I keep it anyway, but I think I have one too many lands in this hand, unfortunately. Definitely don't want to see a Jackal Pup here. Mog Fanatic is a lot more bearable. Okay, that's just way too many lands. It's a lot of... Okay, so I guess I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna go top, 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 no shuffle. And we're gonna get to draw the Duress and draw the Dreadnought, and then I'm gonna be able to Duress to fetch for a Swamp next turn and play Duress. We have Dreadnought, we have Stifle, but we don't really have we cannot afford to combo just yet. I think we definitely want to Duress first. Yeah, there's the Pyroblast. Yeah, so let's take the Pyroblast and send the turn back. Now we're gonna be able to combo with Dreadnought next turn. Dreadnought plus Stifle. My opponent does not have enough burn in hand as is. Take one from Fantastic, and Hydroblast is my best draw. Another Stifle. Okay, so unfortunately I think I have to go for it now. But the good thing is at least I beat another Pyroblast. But if my opponent has Overload here, I'm gonna be quite dead. And there's not much I can do about it. So Bolt Phase, imagine Shock Phase as well. Yeah, Shock Phase. We lose to Overload, or Mog Salvage. Either one of those we lose to. Duress. I think I'd rather save this Duress to pitch to a foil if I have to. Because I don't think, like, whatever I can take, my opponent can just cast in response. So there's no reason to cast the Duress there. Take one from Mog. Yes, down to 11. And there's the Barbarian Ring. We have no information about my opponent's hand. Untap, Incinerate. Okay. Mog Fanatic. Okay. Barbarian Ring. I think I stifle this. Although I guess my opponent has only one card in hand. Woof! Oh my god, what a tight game. What a tight game. Got there in 3. Whoa. Okay, we move on to the semifinals. Alright, round number 3. Am I keeping this hand? It's kind of weak. Okay, let's keep this. Maybe it's bad. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure out soon enough. I'm definitely leading on Polluted Delta here. Molds to 6. And let's see what my opponent's up to. Basic Forest into Mongoose. Okay. That one's not so great. Gonna play another fetch land here. The reason to play fetch lands is Paradic Helm Levis has been playing Terrageddon deck. Terrageddon plays like ports and stuff, so I want to play around that. Second Mongoose. Mox Diamond. Pitching Wasteland. Play Wasteland. Library. Unfortunately, I have to let that resolve. And the question now is, do I want to drop a Psychotog? I think I do. So Plains and Swamp. Let's play Tog. Should the turn back. My opponent has Swords to Plowshares. Like, it sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. If they have Wayfarer, that's fine. Could try to gush into foil, but I don't think that's worth doing, especially when I already have a Vision Charm roll up and ready to go. So I can potentially like impulse and gush into a Dreadnought. But the nice thing about putting the Psychotog into play is that my opponent cannot just pay a bunch of life from library. Fetch land, Wayfarer, fetch, Morph. So that's an Exalted Angel. Okay, so let's untap first. Another Psychotog is actually nice. If I gush here, I can go play Psychotog, play Gush. We still don't go to discard, so I guess that's fine. So let's play Tog. And I'm very interested in gushing here to play around this Wayfarer. So this is still 7 cards, which is nice. Now swing. Opponent just takes it, huh? We just kind of just win here. So this, if I discard my entire hand, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can swing for 13. Unfortunately, not enough. I am interested in dealing some amount of damage here. So we're going to exile some cards. Actually, let me think about that again. So Vision Charm is 2.5 cards, 2.5 damage. So that would be, I play this, then that's up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can bring my opponent down to 1. That's awkward. That's awkward, especially when they have a Morph Angel coming up. I mean, they need to start chomping next turn, though. Yeah, one unfortunately is not 0. So we're just gonna send the hit in, just pass the turn. So I guess I should have attacked first. My idea was to like play the PsychaNought to make sure I get to use my mana, but I guess that I should have just held back. Okay, yeah, we're definitely blocking here. I'm gonna discard an island. So this forces my opponent's hand. So now they have to to spend their turn flipping the angel. Oh, Histrodon? Wow, that's so sexy. Histrodon, man. Hell yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna discard this Duress. Opponent plows. That's fine. Histrodon does deal the damage anyway because it tramples. And the port. Wow, Histrodon is sick. Love that. Okay, so let's play Portent here. Actually, I think it's better for me to swing first. Opponents get 0 cards in hand. We can Impulse, trying to search for something, but I don't think that really does anything. So let's just swing to threaten to deal damage. Opponent chumps. Makes sense. And I think now I'm gonna Portent, Counterspell, Gush. So let's put both of those on top. No shuffle. And I guess I'm gonna play the island now. Draw the Gush. Opponent libraries. This Histrodon is doing some serious work here. It's very important for me to not let my opponent activate Wayfarer, because then they can get Core Haven, and that's a really big issue for me. I'm gonna Impulse on end step. We know there's a Counterspell on top, so I may take that, otherwise I may take something else. Hopefully I get to take something else. Another Mongoose. And my opponent found the Core Haven. That's brutal. So play Impulse. That's a Dreadnought. Okay, I'm gonna take that. Untap. My opponent probably gonna port something here. Port the Black Source, and let's play a land. Here my opponent's going to be able to like blow up their own port if they want to do something, but is there anything that I'm really interested in countering? I think it's really important for me to enable this Dreadnought, but maybe I can't afford to just take the turn off, so I'm just going to pass. So this makes it so my opponent can't actually attack, which is good. And then next turn I can use PsychaNought. I can enable Dreadnought. I'm not going to crack this delta until I have to, because I can just crack it and fail to find to deny my opponent's Wayfarer. Dude, Histrodon is so sexy. Love it. Terravor. That's a 4/4. Opponent's going for a gold-white plan over there. Untap and do nothing. So I'm gonna Dreadnought plus Vision Charm here. And I'm very much in the market for a Stifle. Play another land and shift the turn back. Island has been tapped. I should have actually gushed right there now that I think about it, because otherwise my opponent's going to have priority. They can Wasteland, hold priority, and activate Wayfarer. So I should have gushed to prevent that from happening. And library is so insane. If my opponent hadn't had library this game, we would be so far ahead. Whoa, they're tapping Core Haven? Whoa. No cards left in hand. Oh gosh, another Dreadnought. So I don't think there's any use in countering this. Definitely not great draws there, but this is going to grow. I guess this is going to grow the Terravor a little bit too much, so that may be a problem. So I guess I need to counter this, awkwardly enough. I can make the Terravor a little bit smaller here. Opponent serves? Really? I don't like this attack, especially because I have control over the Terravor's strength. So I'll just block there, and I'll just exile 2 cards, and exile 2 cards. So now we take 4. Untap. Opponent ports the Black Source. Makes sense. Perfect. So if we swing, this is 3, 4, 5, 6. So my opponent can turn on the Threshold. I can attack with Dreadnought. Opponent just takes it if I do. Or I can attack with PsychaNought, which forces the chump block, and then leave Dreadnought back to block. Because the problem is if I attack with both, my opponent chump blocks the Nimble Mongoose, now they have Threshold, and then I die on the crackback. So I can't do that. I can just attack with PsychaNought, force the chump, then we leave Dreadnought back to block, and we can block the Terravor. I think I care about getting rid of the blocker more than I care about bringing my opponent to 1. What an interesting spot. Super interesting spot. Look at how much better, like an impulse or anything else. Limdo's Vault has this problem, right? I think I want to just swing with PsychaNought. Do we play the land is the question. I think we do. Untap. We need to find Stifle now. At least we do get to Limdo's Vault in my upkeep, which is nice. Imagine opponent's gonna port here, and we get to cast Limdo's Vault in response. Here we have double foil, Vision Charm, Duress Portent. Vision Charms allows me to set up another Dreadnought. Looks like my opponent does not have an answer to a Dreadnought currently. And then I get to protect with foils, so I guess we don't play life. And I guess we want to draw Duress last, then Portent, then foil, foil, Vision Charm. Yep, here's a Dreadnought, Vision Charm. Not playing land because that enables my opponent's Wayfarer. Cycle Tranquil Thicket, and Cycle Step. So next turn I do get to attack with both Dreadnoughts, which is nice. Opponent gets to hit even one of them. We've been getting pretty lucky, honestly. My opponent only finding a single Swords to Plowshares all this time. Pretty great for us. Morph, untap and draw foil. Well, now what? So if this is an Exalted Angel, I need to swing. Then I block, then I take 7 and I die. So I guess I have to send the turn back. Man, what a wild game. I guess if this is Exalted Angel, I probably can't win. Yeah, maybe I should have put foil first and then the Portent. I may lose because of that. Okay, so I'm assuming this is another Histrodon now. Another foil. Send the turn back. Please be another Histrodon. Okay, it is, because otherwise they could have flipped. They could have flipped the angel right there. Library's doing so much work. This is an insane game 1. Absolutely insane. I do need to be wary of time. Opponent ports me. My opponent playing a land there does enable me to play another land if I want to. But let's Portent here. Ugh. So I love the Gush, but I know that it's going to draw me to dead cards. I am looking for specifically Stifle, which I still have the full 4 copies in the deck. But I have no shuffles here, so I think I need to just let this go. I don't think this is good enough. Swing again, send the turn back. Yep, there's Histrodon. Port my land, that's fine. We still have Gush, we have double foil anyway, so we can actually counter 2 of my opponent's spells. My opponent has been playing this game really well. Another foil. Okay. So if I attack with both Dreadnoughts, do die on the crackback, so I guess I can't. So I will just pass the turn. I have to be wary of the clock here. This game is turning out to be extremely long. Armageddon. If I don't foil this, my opponent's Terravores are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 11s. That's really problematic. On the other hand, I kind of need this to happen. No, I think I need to foil this. This allows me to swing with both Dreadnoughts here. Wayfarer is fine. So if I swing with both Dreadnoughts, that forces my opponent's hand. So I think this is a good attack here. Can I attack with everything? It forces a chump, but this is just, my opponent just chumps with a Wayfarer here. So if I attack with both 12-12s, and my opponent needs to soak, they need to soak 11 damage, so that's 5 plus 4, 9 plus 3. Yeah, I think this is a good attack. So I think this is exactly enough toughness from my opponent's side. Gonna pump PsychaNought and kill their board. And now we get to play out the land, which is nice, because even through one port, we get to just hardcast foil plus pitch to Gush. So I think we got it unlocked now. What a game. If my opponent had the Angel instead of Histrodon, I think they would have won. Crazy game. Whew. All right, game number 2. Definitely want Smothers. Do I want Brain Freezes? Man, all of these cards are extremely enticing. So Smother is the only shoe-in. Everything else is a maybe. Brain Freeze is interesting, because Brain Freeze, what Brain Freeze represents is a game plan that does not need the combat phase. Definitely want Flash of Insight. You can probably cut maybe a days or 2. The rest is I'm skeptical on, because they can only be cast after, like the black spells in general being tapped are a problem. So I like Counterspell better than the rest, I think. If I am going to go the Brain Freeze route, then I definitely need to, I probably need to cut some number of Dreadnoughts. Annul is honestly the more enticing card. But do I want Annul over the rest? I don't think so. Maybe I do because of Library. Library is such a big game. So let's cut 1 foil, 1 duress, maybe 1 land. Maybe 1 Underground River on the draw. Huh, interesting hand. I think I keep this. Obviously I want to find a land, but Mongoose cannot be killed with Smother. But here we get to annul on 2, which is nice. This goose is beating down. Opponent ports. Annoying but acceptable. Here's a land, go. Foil is not heinous. Also not great. Take 1. Port island. Land, please? No land. Okay. I think I just discard Smother here. Secluded step. Opponent playing the port game. Land, please. Okay, cool. Cycle Thicket. Getting closer to that threshold. Second port right after I found the land. Brutal. Quite annoying. I mean, I could gush to hit land drops, but it doesn't really do anything. Just gonna ship it back. Upon him, please play spells so I can counter them. Dude, that goose is going the distance. Port ×2. Land? Hey, you love to see it. Black Source would have been preferred, but I'll take island too. Mox Diamond is fine. This allows my opponent to start getting in there with the Treetop Village, but maybe I should have annulled hit Mox Diamond actually. The problem is my opponent just plays out the Wasteland and we're in the same spot, right? So it doesn't really achieve anything for me. Duress. I'm gonna, when I finally get a Black Source, I'm gonna drop a PsychaNought, so I'm not gonna have time to cast Duress because I'm only gonna be able to cast a single black spell because of the ports. So this is an attack for 4 again. Opponent ports my lands. Impulse. Gonna impulse main phase looking for a land here, I guess. I do get to take the Underground River, but I think I'm gonna hold it until next turn. So I'm gonna pitch the annul. Opponent swings for 4 and I go down to 3. Oof. Also the Core Haven. Well, then gonna go down to 2. It's getting owned by these ports. Fetch for a swamp. PsychaNought. Pass the turn. Port my island. Port my other island. Guess I should have floated some mana there. So we're going to gush here and foil the Source to Plowshares. Pitching island and I guess Fission Charm? We're all in on this Tog. If my opponent has a second Source to Plowshares, we're hella dead, which they do. So I need to just exile cards to stay alive. So this buys me a little bit of time, but now I don't think I can win. Terravor and Geddon. Alright, good. My opponent played this game really well. Game 3. Now we're gonna be on the play. Bring back the Underground River. I think I won Duresses, and let's cut the Limdul's Vault, and I think I'm gonna cut down a counterspell. Maybe annuls just suck. Maybe I should not be playing annuls at all. Keep this hand. If given the option, I'm probably stifling a fetch land, considering the current texture of my hand. Well, now I'm definitely stifling a fetch land. End step Impulse. Man, that's so tempting to take this Dreadnought. I think I'm gonna be disciplined and I'm gonna take this Gush. That's a really tempting Dreadnought though. Oh, there we go. Have your cake and eat it too is what the kids say. Would have loved it was a Vision Charm instead of a Stifle, because that probably locks the game up. But this puts my opponent under a lot of pressure. 3 mana for Afterlife. Whoa, that's a card. So let's foil that. Pitching Island. And I think I want to pitch Stifle. The problem if I pitch Stifle though is that I think I'm just pitching Tog. Probably, actually we can pitch the rest. We can pitch the counterspell, I mean. Yeah, let's just pitch the counterspell. So this means that this turn I get to... Oh, okay. So I can just double Dreadnought. Just say to my opponent, okay, do we have 2 answers to 2 Dreadnoughts right now? So they could have something like Wrath of God or something like that, but this is a healthy amount of pressure right here. Woo, baby! Triple Terravor Armageddon. Wow. Crazy deck that my opponent's playing over there. That was really cool. That was a very cool match. Especially game 1 was such a nail-biter. This was awesome, alright? Time for the final. Pietro he's had my number. He's been destroying me with Mono Blue Dreadnought lately. This hand is not crazy good against Mono Blue Dreadnought. This is effectively a mull to 5. We do have turn 1 cantrip and we do have Stifle as an enabler, but we have no way to interact if he has an early combo. I think I'm gonna ship this. This is better. So I'm gonna keep this, and I think I'm gonna bottom the foil. We are on the draw, notably, so I would love to find an island so that I can portent. I would love to portent plus Daze, but if not, we can just do rest. I don't have an island, but yeah, I think I have to do rest here, unfortunately. If my opponent has a Daze, they can just Daze me, but that sets them back, so that's fine. Counterspell, Daze. We're stuck on mana, so I think I'm going to take the Daze here, because Daze is free and Counterspell is not. Would love to draw an island or a fetch land. I wonder if he's going to counterspell here. Okay, that's great. So let's go top duress, top portent, top island, say no, and ship the turn back. So what we can do, notably, is if he goes for a Dreadnought plus Reality Ripple, we can just answer back with our own Dreadnought. So that's a way to sort of counter his Dreadnought. That sets both of us back. and then we can take it from there. Sleight of hand. So now we can duress here, or we can go for Dreadnought. I think I'm going to duress. Take a peek, see what's up. If he attempts to counter, I'm going to daze the counter spell. Just lets it go. Very interesting. Gonna take the Gush, I guess. Take the Gush. Once again, portent myself. And we see Gush, double duress. Yeah, these are great, I think. So the Gush is a little bit awkward, but like double duress is just really, really good. So ship the turn back. Oh, I said earlier that we had access to Dreadnought, and that's just not true. Never mind then. We really need to dodge my opponent finding... Ooh, they stifle. That's really aggressive. Okay, so I think their hand is Vision Charm, Counterspell, Reality Ripple. So let's duress. And we know whether we're drawing another duress next turn. Goes for the Counterspell. Ship the turn back. We know that we have a duress and then a dead Gush. So if my opponent finds the Dreadnought here, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Sleight of hand. Gush. That's brutal. Okay, we dodged. So here's another duress. Slugging through these. Absolutely slugging through these. Okay, ship the turn back. Very, very scared of my opponent comboing here, but it looks like they don't have it. We have a dead Gush now, and we ship the turn back. So if we find an island, I'm going to feel extremely comfortable about my position. That's a foil, just not the absolute worst, actually. Oddly enough, I would be forced into countering the Dreadnought. And here's the cost, right? We are experiencing the cost right now. Super awkward. I could YOLO. So what I could do here is I could just hope that I find an answer, that I find an island off the top, or that I find an enabler for my Dreadnought. If I just daze this Dreadnought plus foil, can I come back from that? Like I'm gonna be really far behind. I'm only gonna have a single land. I'm going to be really far away from casting one of these Dreadnoughts. Actually, I'm going to have only one because I'm going to pitch the other one to the foil. And then I'm going to be super far away from casting this Gush. So I guess I'm going to hope that this resolves. I'm going to hope that I get a little bit lucky. I need to find the Gush. We've been digging with Portent and we have not been able to find the land. Opponent, on the other hand, has had 2 Gushes. Better than our situation. So we know that they have Reality Ripple. Stifle. Okay. Here's a Dreadnought, and here's a Stifle. So now we get to trade, or force my opponent to use Reality Ripple, Disrupt. That's brutal. Okay, so we have to daze the Disrupt, and then we're gonna foil, pitching Island, and I think we're gonna pitch Dreadnought. I think it's easier for me to find 2 lands than to find another Dreadnought. So this is also nice because if my opponent attacks, we can actually just take a block. My opponent can Reality Ripple me to get 12 damage in, but then we block the second time around. So here we're accepting the trade. Obviously, if my opponent drew their own Dreadnought, we're super dead here, right? Oh yeah. Okay, so we're super dead now. I don't think we can come back from this. I guess I can draw land. If I draw island. Okay, that's not it. So I need to draw exactly island so that I could drop a PsychaNought, and then my PsychaNought is just better. It's just bigger than the Dreadnought. That was not the case. So with the very last card my opponent got there. Let's get the annuls in here. Let's get the Brain Freezes, Flash of Insight. I do like duresses. Gonna cut down a daze and maybe a foil. I do expect this match to go really long. So I think I'm actually gonna bring it down to 2 annuls because I think my opponent is very likely gonna be on the Brain Freeze plan. Don't like Limnul's Vault. I do like PsychaNought. Yeah, just another daze. I guess I could just cut a couple of Dreadnoughts. Maybe a Dreadnought and a Stifle. Or 2 Dreadnoughts bring back another annul. Or Smother. Yeah, I think having answer to an onboard Dreadnought is kind of nice. So let's bring in these Smothers and just keep 2 Stifles. Although I guess Stifle is a way to fight the Brain Freeze game. Do you even want to fight the Brain Freeze game? I don't think the Brain Freeze game actually favors me. I think it favors my opponent. So I'm just going to bring back some Stifles and annuls instead. Yeah, I think I like this. Yeah, I don't think I want to play a Brain Freeze game. I think that I'm better at playing the Dreadnought game, actually. So this time around, we're on the play. This is nice. I'll keep this. We have a healthy amount of lands here. We also have a fetch land. We have duress. Gush, Dreadnought. Yes. So top the Dreadnought, top the Gush, top the island. Oh, actually, it's the other way around. I did that exactly the opposite way. That's brutal. Well, I mean, I still want to keep the Gush on the island anyway, I guess. So, but I did that exactly the opposite of what I meant to. I do have a Dreadnought on top of my deck. I do think I want to duress here, so I'm gonna shuffle the Dreadnought anyway. I still don't have the other half of the combo, so yeah, as we imagined, there's the Brain Freeze. So I think I'm gonna go for Gush here and ship the turn. Play the island, send the turn back. No sleight of hand. Another Gush. Send the turn back. Sleight of hand. That's going to resolve. They found an island. Untap. Ugh. This is not working out. Should the turn back. As if my opponent has 2 unknowns. Another sleight of hand. Into island. So let's play an island here, and I'm just going to portent myself. Double PsychaNought. Okay. Put those on top. Say no. Actually, PsychaNought is kind of a nice threat here in the face of Brain Freeze. So play land, play Tog. If my opponent just casts Counterspell, I'm just gonna let it go. Oh, they just let it resolve. And then just an untap. Opt is fine. Tog as the alternate win condition is so great here. I think it's actually kind of interesting whether I want to gush on my end step. The reason for doing that is to have 1 less. Okay, my opponent's going to discard, so I'm just gonna let that happen. If they weren't going to discard, I would just do something there. Underground River. I think I lead on Gush. I may be opening myself up to Brain Freeze here. Reality Ripple. That is going to resolve. Gush. Still on the stack. That resolved. Let's play another Tog. And send the turn back. Untap, draw another island. Do we have lethal here? Probably not. We have opponents got Brain Freeze and all Vision Charm. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I guess if I did my math correctly, I think I actually have lethal. But it seems extremely risky. It seems way too risky. I can still set up lethal over 2 turns, so I'm just going to do that. I don't really need to cast any of the cards in my hand. Oh, like my opponent is the one that needs to start a fight. Would love to have found the duress at some point. Untap. Another land. Yikes. Okay, so now how much lethal do we have? I think we lead on Gush. My opponent can attempt to make a Brain Freeze fight happen here. 40 is so many though. Unless they have double Brain Freeze, I don't think they're going to be able to get there. Opponent gushes in response. Yeah, I think we let this resolve. I mean, we're already on my main phase, so my opponent cannot Brain Freeze me here. Because worst case scenario, I just foil my own Gush or daze my own Gush, so I don't draw the cards. And then if they do that, obviously I just have more than lethal for Tog. Vision Charm, mill me. Okay, I guess they're going for it. Vision Charm, mill me. Alright. So they need to be able to kill me. Like, they need to be able to actually make me take lethal from these Brain Freezes, which this is not enough. And then they need to have double counterspell for my Gushes. Maybe they're just fishing for info. Could be that they're just fishing for info. Well, now they're dead. Yeah, I think that they were just fishing for info there. I think that they couldn't actually make Brain Freeze happen, so they were just trying to figure out how I cybered it. Yeah, so I think my cybering was actually pretty good. So I think that my opponent is very, very heavily on the Brain Freeze game plan. I do, however, think that it's very likely that that is going to change now. I think that it's possible that that's going to change now. So I think they can pivot into being a little bit more of a Dreadnought deck now. We do have more answers to Dreadnought though. I do think Stifle can be important. Probably more so than Vision Charm actually. And I think I like the rest. Again, I think Tog is going to be my main win condition. Yeah, we keep this. Obviously we're going to be looking for a land from this portent, and then portents themselves. This hand is doing a bunch of the things that we want to be doing. Opponent, no shuffle. Portent myself, and we see double island. Yeah, I guess I'll take that. No shuffle, ship the turn back. And we can send the redundant PsychaNought down with impulse, so that's cool. Play an island, send the turn back, opt. I imagine opponent looking for land drops. Land drops seem actually quite important in this matchup. I think I'm countering this portent. It uses my mana, and clearly my opponent's fishing here. This may be just a gut, but yeah. Daze, they disrupt. Maybe they have their own daze. That would suck. They don't. Okay, cool. So that was great. We just fought a fight on my opponent's turn. Gush. Now my opponent's down to a single land. Now we're actually ahead on mana development. We did draw the redundant PsychaNought, which is not great, but I do like kind of where we're at. End step, impulse, annul, daze, another impulse. Portent also very interesting. I think I'm gonna keep the portent here. Maybe impulse was better than portent, but just being able to like portent into encounter spell seems really good here. Foil, stifle, island. I don't think that's good enough. I think I'm gonna send that any order and then shuffle. And I guess I cannot play the island because I want to hold up foil. Find another island. Okay. Opponent just plays a land and says go. I think I just play island and pass the turn. And then I'll cast PsychaNought next turn. Opt on end step. Duress would be fantastic, but I think that we cast PsychaNought here. My opponent can counter. That's fine. I think I'm going to portent now. Gush, and then 2 dead cards. I mean, I could technically mill myself to get past these dead cards. I mean, Gush is just really, really good, so I think I'm gonna keep them. No shuffle, send the turn back. We draw Gush. Now opponent gushes, which we let resolve. So they're gonna need to make the combo happen here, I think. Or just brain freeze me for a bunch. Dreadnought. So I can foil this Dreadnought, baiting my opponent's counter magic, but that plays into day, so I think I'm just gonna let the Dreadnought resolve, and then I'm gonna try to use my own PsychaNought to fight through their Dreadnought, which should be doable. And this blank stays. Let's lead on Gush. Oh, wow. Oh my god, that's an absolute disaster. Hopefully my opponent attempts to counter this PsychaNought. Otherwise, this is terrible. Okay, opponent foils. Good. So now I get to foil back Pitching Island and the Ground River. So otherwise I would have needed to go to this card, which would have been a disaster. Opponent counter spells. And we can't actually protect that. Man, whiffing on the Gush is devastating. So we need to find Smother now or my own Dreadnought. Otherwise we're going to die to this. Or PsychaNought number 3. Obviously, if we find PsychaNought number 3, that's also fine. My opponent found more Gushes though, which is very bad for me. Man, that bad Gush was all it took. Devastating. So we take 12 here. This Vision Charm can technically buy me a turn, but it's very much not what I want to be doing. We'll see what happens here. I think I want to wait till combat here. So face out the Dreadnought. Opponent correctly lets it resolve. Duress. Not great. I'm still going to fire it off right now. It uses my mana effectively, but this is brutal. I just threw away 2 cards, and my opponent has gushed more than I have. So effectively, whoever... Now, because I'm very short on things to do, I need to have this resolve. So I'm going to do this now on upkeep. So my opponent has less likelihood of finding an answer. But yeah, this is just terrible. My opponent found more Gushes than I did, and that ends up being all she wrote, I think. Yep, that really sucks. I don't think there was too much I could have done. It all came down to amount of Gushes drawn. So many annuls. There's that. I'm just dead. I'm still gonna have my opponent, I guess, go through the motions, but yeah, we're very dead. Man, Brain Freeze looked so bad from my opponent's deck. It honestly seems much better for them to just try to go and protect the Dreadnought route than to even have Brain Freeze in their deck. Like, Brain Freeze looked very bad. Alright, Pietro continues to be my nemesis. I just cannot beat him. Okay, finals appearance for the PsychaNought deck. The deck felt pretty good. I like the changes that I did. I feel like that very last match against the mono blue variant showcased a little bit of both the upsides and the downsides, right? Like having access to the PsychaNought as an alternative game plan kind of by itself just gave me the second game. And then we also, in game 1, we saw the fail rate where I had a Gush in hand that I just could not cast, and I had like Underground River and Basic Island. We're playing more lands, so we're actually playing almost as many lands. Like, we're playing 14 islands, and like the Dreadnought deck is playing 16. So we're playing almost the same amount of islands, so it's not like that much of a difference. But when you see those kind of situations, that's when you really notice it, right? But overall, I think that if we played, like more matches, I would probably feel slightly advantaged by this version of the deck than the mono blue version. But Pietro is a very, very good player, and he just has my number. It's crazy. I cannot beat him regardless of which deck I'm playing. But this deck felt very good though, so things that I liked are the 4 Duresses and the PsychaNoughts. Like, the PsychaNoughts actually won. They didn't win most of the matches, but they won like a pretty healthy amount of them. Also, some like random things, like against the Armageddon deck, I used PsychaNought to make their the Terravor smaller, and ended up winning because of that. So that was kind of hilarious. And then like against, we just played the mirror, and like PsychaNought felt spectacular there. So I do like this idea a lot. Limdus Vault was pretty medium. Like, I was not impressed by this. I feel like I would want to play maybe like an Opt or an Impulse. Very, very close. Very, very, very tight list is what I mean to say. I think it's very good. I think it's super, super strong, and it is a nice take on the Dreadnought deck. The sideboard, like full 4 nulls is maybe one too many, but I don't know. Like, I was really scared of Sphere of Resistance when I built this deck list, because I think that card is secretly one of the best cards in the format. And then Brain Freeze is, I don't know, I'm not sold on Brain Freeze. We just saw how bad it was in that very last game. It's just so weird. It's just so weird. Like, it's a card that's so what's the word, like polarizing, right? Like sometimes it just feels like it's unbeatable, and then some other times it's just straight up a blank. I don't know, I'm not super high on the brain freeze angle of the deck, particularly because we have access to PsychaNought, but maybe it's a necessity because otherwise it's probably very, very hard for us to beat the blue-white style control decks or stuff like that. Even though we did play against the black-white control deck where I didn't even bother bringing in brain freeze because it would have been terrible there because they have discard and stuff. So I don't know. It's not that flexible of a game plan. It really asks for a very large commitment. I would like to have access to like maybe 1 or 2 Savos Web. I think that Savos Web is secretly one of the best cyber cards in the format. I think it is straight up the most underplayed cyber card in the format. And then I also think it's one of the best ones as well. But yeah, maybe like 1 more Plague, split with Smothers. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of flex slots to make work with this. Flash of Insight was, I don't know, kind of weird. I do imagine that if you do have a Tog, like it didn't actually come up in the matches that I played, but if you do actually have a Tog, you probably are doing fine, so you don't care about the fact that you exile your things. But there's definitely a tension there. There's definitely a lot of tension happening right here. And we did not really get paired against many of the Flash of Insight matchups, unfortunately. So there's also that. But yes, PsychaNought seems like a very powerful circumvent game plan. I'm not sure that this is better than blue-white, though. Like, I do want to say that. Like, I'm not necessarily sure that this is just better than playing Meddling Mage. I don't know. I feel like it's just another version of Dreadnought to play with very, very strong deck with a different subset of pros and cons. So definitely more to explore. That's gonna be it from me today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and the subscribe button on the way out. And I'll see you in the next video. Long live Premodern. Love Premodern. See you later. Bye-bye.